Hi everyone, in this video we're going to go over some of the golden rules of web design, so some of the important things to consider whenever you are designing a website, and then also how to implement good design techniques within your web design as well, and what tools that you can use to help with your web design and web templates and things like that. So web design is basically the process of curating a branded website that is attractive, engaging, and user-friendly for your business's target audience. It should also encourage a call to action, as the core goal of a business website is to attract new and existing customers and turn them in users and turn them into customers. And call to actions are things like, so if you have an e-commerce website, then your main call to action is for people to browse through products and then purchase products. So things like add to cart, go to checkout, buy, these are all forms of call to actions. There's also call to actions to invite users to other parts of your site. So on a portfolio or a blog site, call to actions such as read article, read blog, read now are all call to actions for your website that kind of lead users to explore around your website and eventually invite them to either submit an inquiry or submit a form and things like that. You also have call to actions like get in touch. That's encouraging users to get in contact, whether that's through a form or through email, phone, and things like that. So great web design will give your business essentially another salesperson, and a website should sell 24/7 for your business. And you'll see even minor tweaks, design changes can make an incredible difference. You should think about a new website just like any other investment for your business. And if your website isn't delivering results, it's probably time to think about updating it. So that's the importance of web design, and web designers essentially are people who will design the website for you. It's important to note there's a difference between web designers and website development. So website development is essentially the next step after an effective design has been signed off. It's what kind of goes under the hood of the business website. Web developers will then take the design and they will essentially build all your website through coding or through online website building platforms, things like that. As a client, you should know if you were getting a template, page builder, or a custom website development for you, and you should know the difference between each of these, the pros and cons, why you have selected the website development that you have. The website should be created to ensure that you get a stable and secure and accessible website at all times, and one that will be really easy to manage, low maintenance, and reliably deliver for your business when you invest in digital marketing. So that falls under website development, and web designers will then focus on the actual look of your website, the design, colors, everything like that. That will be decided by your website designer, who you will then sort of sit with, and you can talk to them about how you want the design, basic sort of overall look of your website, and they'll be able to talk you through essentially what would be good in terms of website design. Does it fall under good user experience? Does it fall under good SEO standards as well? So it's really important that when you are thinking about hiring a web designer, you know how important it is to have good web design. You also know what kind of questions to ask them whenever you are hiring them. It is really important that your business pays attention to web design and web designers. There are currently around 5 billion internet users worldwide, and that's a really big audience, which also means there's a lot of competition from other businesses when trying to stand out in the online space. Your website designer needs to design your website in such a way that it's useful, informative, and engaging for your audiences. It should showcase your product or service in the best way possible and convey your brand to audiences. The message of a business or a brand can be effectively communicated through smart web design by your web designer, and it should incorporate sort of engaging text, imagery, and video content. If your website is lacking in design, it won't get very many visitors, which means less traffic and a reduced amount of potential sales. So having an established online website that users can visit may help your business, will help your business in lots of different ways. So when it comes to web design, most people opt to hire out agencies or independent web designers to help them with that. A web designer designs websites, and they are essentially responsible for what's known as the front end of a website. So what you're seeing now, this part of the website, this is essentially what the users can see, and it's essentially the front end of the website. A web designer are responsible for things like the color, text, imagery, videos, the overall layout, the navigation, and overall appearance of your business's website. And again, that's different to a web developer who's concerned with the website's backend. That's things like the coding, the security, and the overall functionality. Web designers and web developers will collaborate together often to create this engaging and easily navigated and attractive website. They're different, but they're very important to the process, and each requires a different set of skills. Web designers can create bespoke websites that portray your brand in the best possible way. And web design companies are essentially responsible for the success of the project, but they will also have an impact on the future of your business. So therefore, it's important that you don't take the process of hiring a web designer lightly. You should view a web designer or a web design firm as one of your marketing partners. The web designer that you choose to work with will design your website. They will play a major role in your company's success regarding your online marketing goals and objectives and any sales that you want to make. Whether you're having a new website designed from scratch or having major changes made to your existing website, your hiring decision will determine the website's success. As you probably know, there are many different web design companies out there. There's many different web designers out there. Whether you're searching for a web design firm online or locally, it's really easy to become sort of overwhelmed with the task of choosing the right firm for your business. If you want to make the right choice, it's important that they have a thorough hiring process. You should treat the process of choosing a web design company the same as the process of hiring an employee. Therefore, you should conduct interviews, request portfolios, check references, review the performance results of different web design companies, and things like that. Especially when it comes to hiring web designers. So web designers should have a range of work that they should be able to show you that they've worked on previously, a portfolio of work. They should be able to show you previous work from other clients that they've done and explain why they've used the colors that they did, used the layouts that they did, and how that has affected the company. How has that resulted in either more clicks on their website, more sales, more engagement on their website, and things like that. Web designers are really important to the business, and they essentially marry creativity and technology together to create beautiful designs on web pages. There are essential skills that every web designer should know about and understand to ensure that they are producing great work. Not only are technical skills important, being able to understand collaboration methods and having strong communication skills also matter. Designing for clients means conversing with them to understand their needs and their visions for their site. And there's lots of different skills that are needed to help you grow as a web designer and develop stronger visuals and content as well. One of the main things as a web designer you'll need to know is that you'll need to sort of understand design principle. Without understanding design principles, it will be difficult to build and create unique and beautiful websites. Learning fundamental skills of visual design can enhance your abilities and offer important foundations for web and graphic knowledge. Principles like emergence help us focus on the website as a whole rather than honing in on individual parts. Emergence helps us process an arrangement of visual elements and help us digest what they mean together. Using rectification strips, rectification strips back complexities and helps us recognize the essential parts of something that allow us to recognize it. This helps designers work out what's necessary for a website and what can be laid out for a user that still conveys meaning. Another important principle is the invariance. So invariance ensures that an object stands out in your design, and this teaches us how to highlight particular parts that you want to encourage your user to see. So understanding design principles sort of enhances your graphics and web knowledge as well. Another key element to think about whenever you are designing a website, and that website designers should be thinking about as well, is user experience or UX. User experience is, in essence, how someone responds or reacts to your design, and this is based on how easy the site is to use. Interactive elements that are incorporated into design that make it a dynamic piece for users to enjoy helps with good web design, and UX is a really important skill to learn as it helps users navigate through sites in a really enjoyable way. UX involves creating organized content spaces that are uncluttered and have negative space, and that's usually a good starting point for any website. Designing a site with empathy rather than focusing on the technical aspects can also attract users to remain on sites. Understanding what the user needs and providing it in the design is a really important part of the UX. If a site is too cluttered, if it's too much information that's not being broken up properly, if the navigation is too dense and in general not an easy user experience, users will click off, and that will then that's something that Google could pick up on. So Google will track how long someone's session time is. So essentially how long someone, from the moment that they click onto your site to the moment that they click off, is essentially a session. And Google will track how long that session is. And the longer that is, the better, because it allows Google to know that there's engaging content on there. The content on there is easy for users to read about and essentially use your website. So that's a really good indication to Google whether or not the UX is good for customers or not. And the better that is, the higher you'll rank in search engines. It also just means then when users are on your site, they can find what they need as easily as possible, instead of having to click into several different things and maybe find what they're looking for, especially if they're clicking into something expecting to find one bit of content, but actually they find something completely different. So it's really important that the UX of your site is optimized as much as possible for the user. It's organized, it's uncluttered, and it's spaced out as easy as possible for users to navigate through. So that was UX. Then there's also something called UI, and that stands for user interface. UX focuses on the user, but UI is specifically for the site. User interface hones in on things like menus, web pages, and buttons. This is everything that allows a user to navigate through a website without there being any obstructions. Typography and things like that helps designers choose pleasing fonts that aren't like jarring or anything like that. Other skills that designers would need to know is skill in software, so using different types of software in design. So having a breadth of knowledge surrounding software can make every web designer's life easier. Knowing programming language as well can help, but having a base knowledge of things like Figma, Webflow can help you build sites faster and a lot easier. Understanding basic photo editing is as important, as a lot of the time web designers work with vector-based graphics, so knowing programs like Adobe programs like Illustrator, Photoshop, and Lightroom, and InDesign can help you with your skill set as well. Photoshop, for example, can help you create really beautiful images and also edit images really easily as well. And these are all types of different images that you can use on your website to help make it more engaging and more meaningful to the user. When it comes to actually designing your web design, a really popular program to use is Figma. So Figma is a powerful web design tool that helps you create anything from websites, application, logos, and a lot more. And a lot of web designers will use it to design their website, to design a website in full. It's a collaborative tool, meaning that other members in your team can join your project and collaborate with you as well. Obviously, there is some pricing towards it as well, but it just means then you have a software where you can essentially build out the design of your website, share that design with customers, and they can see exactly what their site will look like once it's in development. And it also means it's an easy way for developers to also see what the site is meant to look like, get things like the CSS tools, any like CSS of all of the styling of the fonts and things like that. They can see exactly what's being used. It's a good design team basically for building out your website and any other kind of applications that you want to bring as well. Another really popular web design tool is Webflow. So Webflow is almost like a visual way to code. It's essentially a built-in publishing and hosting platforms. That means essentially you can go from zero to design to a published website in a fraction of a time that it would take when you're coding by hand. Once you've built your website designed visually, you can hit publish and push your site live. This can help web designers in several ways. One of the important ways is essentially the bridge between visual design and coding. So visual designers can create sort of mock-ups, prototypes in a visual tool like Adobe Photoshop, but then they will then send them off to developers who will then code them. It creates sort of an extra round of back and forth, since developers have to go through an extra iteration of coding, maybe go back and forth with designers when something doesn't work out or something needs to be changed. And it means that it can be hard to code sort of complex interactions, especially when you're in a limited amount of time as well. So this is kind of where Webflow comes in. So Webflow is an in-browser design tool, and it gives you the ability to design and launch responsive websites visually. It's basically almost like an all-in-one design platform that you can go from the initial idea to a ready-to-use product. When it comes to Webflow, what's different from that to something like Figma is that when you create the design in the visual editor, it's powered by HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So design and code are not separated, and you can reuse CSS classes. So once you define each CSS class, you can use them for any elements that should have the same styling, or use it as a starting point for variation. And because it's a platform, it also offers a hosting plan as well. So around, even from something as basic as $14 a month, it allows you to connect a custom domain, host your HTML site, and for an additional amount of money, you can use the Webflow CMS and actually have space to kind of manage a website as well. There can be a learning curve to it. However, once you have the basics down, it's very easy to kind of start building out your site, designing your site, but then also while you're designing, the site is being coded out for you, and essentially it removes that kind of extra block of coding that's needed whenever you are using traditional web design tools like Photoshop or Figma. So that's just another tool that web designers can use as well. So having this base knowledge of kind of design software can ensure that your design have fluency, and it also makes your life a little bit easier whenever you are designing a website, or when your web designer is designing your website as well. If you want to be truly successful as a web designer, then knowledge of graphic design is crucial. Graphic design is essentially when you create visuals with longevity. So designing branding for websites that incorporate logos, vector-based graphics such as this, that are essentially unique to you and that you own, can add a lot of sort of interactions with users. It's something that users can engage with, they can admire. Deepening your knowledge of graphics is critical if you want to become a successful designer. Creating custom illustration and graphics and hand-drawn typography are just some ways that you can grow in graphic design and become a truly accomplished web designer as well. As well as graphic design, you want to think about something called color theory. So color theory is another way to establish your brand identity. Color schemes and color theory essentially plays an important role in every project, from printing promotional flyers, creating your brand's logo, establishing your brand identity, and essentially your website color schemes. By using different colors, you are sort of able to convey different emotions, drive conversions, and also earn loyalty for your customers. When your designer is essentially designing your website, choosing the correct colors and putting them in the correct places can be a difficult task, but it is very important to find the correct colors to convey your brand, and balancing the primary and secondary colors as well. Some basic tips on whenever you are deciding on branding and deciding on a color scheme can be things like using the color wheel as well. So the easiest way to pick out a color scheme for your brand is to utilize the color wheel. The color wheel is made up of 12 colors, which make up the subsets of primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. And by understanding this kind of color wheel, you can create color schemes that work together and will look great on your website. So primary colors are the basis of the color wheel. These are colors that are found naturally and can't be created by mixing other colors. The three primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. And then you've got secondary colors, and secondary colors are created when you mix equal parts of two primary colors on the color wheel. And on the color wheel, these colors are directly between each of the primary colors that are mixed to create them. So for example, the secondary color for blue and red is purple, and the secondary color for yellow and red is orange, and the secondary color for blue and yellow is green. So green, orange, and purple are your secondary colors. And then you've got the tertiary colors, and tertiary colors are created by mixing different primary and secondary colors. These colors are located between the primary and the secondary colors that are used to create them. So in total, there are 6 tertiary colors. You've got red and orange to create vermilion. And then you've got red and purple to create magenta. Then you've got blue and purple to create violet. You've got blue and green to create teal, and then you've got green and yellow to create chartreuse. And these are kind of all of the colors that are, these are the tertiary colors essentially that are on the color wheel. So you've got the primary, you've got the tertiary, and you've got the secondary colors. Next thing you want to think about in the color wheel is color harmonies. So color harmony is defined as the property that distinct aesthetically pleasing color groups have. It is created by selecting colors that work well together and complement each other. There are many different techniques that can be used to pick out harmonious colors. So one technique is complementary colors. So complementary colors are two colors that are opposite of each other on the color wheel. So for example, yellow and purple would be considered complementary. They are the opposite two on the color wheel. Then you've got green and red, also would be a type of complementary colors, as they are directly opposite on the color wheel as well. Then you've got split complementary. So this technique is a variation of complementary colors. So for example, chartreuse and magenta is one complementary color. And then you have basically one complementary color and then one base color and then two colors that are adjacent to the complementary color as well. Then you've got a dyad, which is two colors that are separated by one color in between them. So for example, green and yellow are dyad, they've got one color between them. Then you've got triad, and that's three colors that are spaced equally from each other on the color wheel. So green, yellow, and orange are a triad because they are three colors, and then there's an equal amount of colors in between them. Then you've got analogous, and these are essentially three colors that are directly next to each other on the color wheel. So violet, purple, and magenta, amber, orange, and vermilion are analogous colors, and they can be worked well together as well. And then you've got a rectangle. This is essentially tetradic. And these are essentially two sets of complementary colors equaling 4 colors in total. So again, complementary colors are two colors that are opposite on the color wheel. So two sets of them will essentially make a rectangle. So you've got the yellow and purple maybe as one set, and then you can also have teal and vermilion as one set as well. And then you've got square. So these is essentially 4 colors that are all equally spaced out from each other on the color wheel. So something like green, orange, to magenta, violet, purple, things like that. Why color theory is important has to do with psychology. So each color can be used to convey different meanings and provoke different emotions. While some of this can be subjective and change from person to person, there are some common color portrayals and examples as well. So for example, white can signal sort of purity and clean and things like that. If you think about the Apple website, they use a lot of white, almost as negative space on their website, but the design is very minimal, very clean, and organized as well. So that's an example sort of how the different color can be used that way. Then you got Audi as well. Again, their base color would be white. It leads for a very clean design as well, almost professional, things like that. Another color that has a strong meaning is red. So red can symbolize things like power, passion, life, health, things like that. So Coca-Cola, for example, red is a very iconic color for them, and it can it's used a lot on their website, especially the very first thing that you notice is a lot of red, and it signals sort of a lot of passion and power as well, and it's kind of an iconic color for them as well. Purple is another color that has a strong meaning. One of the meanings that's associated with purple is luxury, royalty, decadence, things like that. If you think about brands that use that, Cadbury is one of the first ones that come to mind. They use a lot of purple, not only on their website, but within their packaging, within their branding, within their flyers, things like that. And it signals to the user this is a very kind of like luxury product. It's a very decadent product as well, and that works with their product, it works with their branding, and it's a really kind of strong way to, and using that color, it's a really strong way to kind of portray that kind of message as well about their product as well. Balancing your colors on their website is important, so knowing which colors will promote the right emotion and identity for your brand is a really huge part of choosing the right color scheme. And it's something that as a web designer you should know sort of when to use what kind of colors. Web designers work with colors, but they will kind of break them down into three main categories. You've got your main colors, your pop colors, and your neutral colors. When it comes to your main colors, this is kind of what will be used for maybe 75% of your website design. You will use this on colors on every page of your website for content, headers, and maybe general information. It can also be used as a background color as well. It basically will be the kind of main color for your canvas of your website as well. Then you've got something called pop colors, and designers will use this kind of sparingly throughout your website. Pop colors are used to highlight almost important information only, and also things like call to actions. So for example, you've got call to actions on this page as well, and on the footer, and you've got call to actions on the home page. There's a call to action on the nav bar. You've got the button here. Using the green only in sparing places means that it's highlighted a lot better. This green, the main call to action in the nav bar pops out, then call to actions to explore other parts of the website pops out as well. You've got call to actions on the services section on the home page, and that kind of pops out so that users kind of instinctively kind of click on those for more information as well. So using these colors sparingly and using them in the right place are something that designers will focus on to make sure people are staying on your site, they're exploring you on your site, and ultimately you doing the action that you want them to do, whether that's to get in touch, make a booking, make a purchase, things like that. And then you've got the third category, which is neutral colors. So neutral colors are also used sparingly, but more often than pop colors. These colors are used for backgrounds, negative or empty space, and within your content. And it's just another way to kind of separate out the content, balance all the colors on screen, and make it easy for users to navigate. So all of that kind of falls into user navigation as well, and user experience. And web designers will help you kind of choose the correct color scheme for your website. You need to take account of all the information that kind of we've talked about. This is essentially what type of feeling, emotion do you want your website to convey? Do you want to use primary, secondary, or tertiary colors? For example, if you own a yoga studio that focuses on mental wellness and strength, designers may opt to choose go for a slightly green color way, because that might be a perfect starter color to look at it. Green can bring feelings of nature, well-being, energy, and it can be perfect for inspiring customers to try yoga and things like that. Your designer will also decide on how many colors would be good to work with, and they'll look at the color harmony techniques, and they'll be able to narrow it down from there. Then based on your main color, you and your designer can use similar colors with analogous technique, or completely opposite colors by using complementary colors technique and things like that. The best tip for any color theory beginner is to keep your color scheme simple and incorporate it into your branding. So color theory is a really important skill that your web designer or your web should be incorporating. And lastly, one of the most important skills that a web designer should know about and should be skilled in is responsive design. So responsive design focuses on the technical aspects of a website. So having knowledge of responsive design ensures that CSS, JavaScript, or HTML work seamlessly and add to the user experience in spaces like text, buttons, or even menus. By honing your skill set here, you'll ensure that your website delivers consistent content across any device, translates to different devices like mobile without there being issues with design, and creating strong layouts as well. One way to test and see what your site will look like on mobile without actually having the device is if you go into the Inspect Element tool, and you can see sort of different devices as well, and you can sort of see the layout and make sure the padding and spacing is okay on all of them, and everything looks sort of as easy to navigate on mobile as it would be on desktop. Usually on mobile design, everything tends to stack, so everything goes on one top of each other instead of side to side, and you just want to make sure that that continues and that it looks good as well across your website as well. Another more accurate way to kind of test the responsiveness of your website is using a tool called BrowserStack. So BrowserStack is a cloud web and mobile testing platform that provides you and developers with the ability to test your website on different mobile applications, but also across different browsers, different operating system, as well as real mobile devices as well. BrowserStack can help you test your websites on over 2,500 real devices and browsers, so you can thoroughly test how it looks not only on different devices but also on different browsers, different operating systems as well, so you can really test out any issues, test out your site on any kind of platform really, and see if there's any issues as well. BrowserStack do have a free trial, but it is a paid platform as well. So it is an investment, but it is something that worth considering as well. More and more we are seeing people access websites mainly through mobile, so it's really important that your website is responsive as much as possible across a number of different devices and not just on desktop devices as well. Website design and designers is one of the services we have here at ProfileTree, and we have skill designers here to kind of help you with your website design, make sure it's optimized for everything as well. Making sure that when you are designing a website or when you are hiring a web designer, understanding that your business can improve in so many ways, for example by attracting new customers, showcasing your product or service in the best possible way, develop an online community. It can help you basically in so many ways as well. So making sure that you, by hiring a web designer, or if you're a web designer yourself, you know that how much of a big impact designing a good website will do. Website design services can offer things like new website design, landing page design, additional features added, technical SEO, on-page SEO, website auditing, things like that. So when you are hiring a website designer, maybe think about other things that you can, other services that they may offer as well. And if you're a web designer yourself, if you're able to sort of offer these things as well, you can really hone in your skills as a web designer yourself. So now that we've talked a bit about what web designers do and the skills that are needed and some of the tools, we can start talking about actual web design. So technically, web design is an industry that encompasses a number of varied tasks. To create a website, you obviously need to know how to code. However, to create a website which offers ROI for a business, so return on investment, there is a lot more to consider. That's as well. So having a site that looks good is really only half the battle. You need to understand, or need someone who understands things like how color works, what items need to be included to make visitors stay around and explore your site, what you have to offer, and what factors will enable the search engines to find your website and display it to their users. Finally, you need content that appeals to visitors, and this content isn't always just blogs or images. It can be something like videos as well. It includes information and also some entertainment as well. So there's lots of tools and essentially ingredients which make up effective web design. Some of the job roles which make up a design team doesn't just include a web designer as well. The names for roles you encounter may include a content writer, programmer, or even a very specific roles like SEO specialist or UX designer. The actual web designer may be responsible for the layout and other visual components of the website. Web design companies are made up of a large number of different specialized roles. It's important when you hire someone to help build your website that you discuss with them what they include in their service, or you may end up being disappointed and end up having to bring in other people. It's much more cost effective to get it right the first time. So as mentioned before, establishing a strong and engaging online presence has to start with a secure, functional, and appealing website design. Whether you need a sophisticated e-commerce solution or simple, attractive website for your small business, you want to make sure that the design that you pick will cater to your needs, will have the functionality that you need, and will also make sure that user experience is as easy and as quick as possible. So web design is essentially ensuring that your website looks attractive, but there's a lot more elements to keep in mind. The core goal of a business website is to attract new customers and attract new visitors and turn them into customers. Any business website is only as good as the profit it generates. So you need to think about a new website just like any other investment. If your site isn't delivering results, it's probably time to think about updating it. At ProfileTree, we've designed and launched a number of websites which drive results for a wide range of businesses across the UK and Ireland. You want to make sure that the web design company that you hire or the designer that you hire are experts in things like modern design, functionality, search engine optimization, conversion rate optimization, user experience, user interface, content marketing, website navigation, development, performance optimization, security, and any kind of marketing integrations as well. Web design says a lot about a business. The way you present yourself online can have a concrete impact on your revenues. In many cases, the message of a business or brand can be effectively communicated through web design that incorporates engaging imagery and video content as well. On top of that, your website has to be functional. The core of an effective, so for example, if you want to sell online, so if you have an e-commerce business, the core of an effective e-commerce strategy is ensuring that users can quickly navigate between your site, between the pages and different products, and take the actions that you want them to. An effective website can supercharge your revenue figures overnight, and the right web design solutions also determine how and when users can find your website, with SEO being impacted by content, design, performance, and user experience. It's also important to understand that there's different web designs for different types of websites. So if you are an e-commerce website, the layout and look and feel of your website is going to be different to a website that's simply a portfolio website or blog website. That's because between these two websites, different areas need to be highlighted more. So when you're an e-commerce website, you'll see products being at the forefront, a lot of call to actions on the homepage and things like that. Whereas at a simple portfolio website, you'll see more of the blogs and more kind of imagery on the website as well. So it's not sort of like a one size fits all when it comes to web design. You do need to think about what you want your website to do, what's the main focus on your website, and then center your design around that. For online retailers, for example, effective e-commerce website design is really critical. In fact, choosing the right web design agency can make or break your online business. It can also greatly impact your ability to reach and sell to new and existing customers. And this can include things like call to actions around your pages, website navigation, making sure the checkout process is as seamless as possible, and using as much opportunities to upsell your products as well. Another really important thing to think about whenever you're designing your own website is mobile web design. So mobile web design is the mainstream nowadays, with mobile devices being used more often than desktops around the world. Mobile-friendly web design is no longer optional. It has to be as part of your web design as well. If your site doesn't function properly on mobile, your sales will suffer. And even search engines these days are more concerned than ever, now more than ever, with how your site works on phones and tablets. The rise of mobile-first indexing means that your mobile site contributes more to your SEO than even the desktop version. As a business, you need to ensure that your website is fully optimized for SEO, user experience, and CRO across all your devices. and this is something that ties into responsive web design. So responsive web design is a technique that allows you to use the same website layout and content across all different devices. Responsive web design basically means the visual elements automatically resize to fit the user's window, and this eliminates the need for dedicated mobile pages or compromise your design to suit different devices. So for example, you can see now we went from the desktop to the mobile version, and you can see it's not using the same layout, but the same content is on the page, but it's laid out slightly differently, so it's easier to navigate and read the content that's on the page. Had the desktop version still been used, everything would have been squished, it would have been a lot smaller, and it's not something that would have been easy for users to navigate. So making sure that your website is responsive is really, really important. We're seeing that a lot as well whenever we look at sort of top refers to a person's site, to a client's site, or the top used devices. Mobile leads the way in terms of people coming onto your site using a mobile device as opposed to a desktop or even a tablet. So responsive web design is also really important. Another key factor to think about when you're designing a website is SEO. So there are lots of web design agencies which can create attractive websites, but very few truly understand how web design impacts your SEO as well. Web design elements have an enormous impact on SEO, including through security, performance, UX, usability, navigation, content, metadata, and other visual elements. Similarly, issues relating to any of these can easily undermine your website's traffic. So the way that you design your website, whatever tags that you use, elements that you use, they all tie into your SEO, and Google will use that also to understand if this is a user-friendly website or not. So website design kind of merges into development afterwards. So web design and development do go hand in hand, but a lot of businesses don't really understand the role of each. So very broadly, web design is about the visuals and structure of your website, while development is concerned with performance, security, and functionality. With changing technology, the distinction between the two has become a little bit blurrier. When you're launching a new site, it's crucial to choose a web design agency who are also experts at modern development practices. Choosing the right developers is critical for ensuring the long-term success of your website. Effective web development also influences key design-related factors like the user experience and load speeds. When choosing a web design agency, it's important to opt for a partner with strong development credentials as well. It's definitely important that your business does pay attention to web design. There are currently 5 billion internet users worldwide, and that's a really big audience, but it also means that there's a lot of competition from other businesses when trying to stand out in the online space. Your business's website needs to be designed in such a way that's useful, informative, and engaging for audiences. It should showcase your product or service in the best possible way and convey your brand to your audience. The message of a business or brand can be effectively communicated through smart web design that incorporates engaging text, imagery, and video content. If your website is lacking in design, it won't get many visitors, which means less traffic and a reduced amount of potential sales. Having an established online website that users can visit may help your business in lots of ways, including attracting new customers and clients, increasing your potential client and customer reach, updating existing customers about your business, promoting and increasing awareness of your brand, engaging with your customers or clients, showcasing your product service in the best possible way, increasing visits to your website, which in turn has an effect on sales, remaining relevant in a competitive market, providing a source of contact and support, a platform where you can discuss your expertise, develop an online community, and you can also track visits and engagement with your website as well. So that's essentially the basics of web design. And when it comes to web design, then the people you're technically going to be talking to, or who's going to be responsible for the design part of your website, is a web designer. So a web designer designs website. websites, they are essentially responsible for what's known as the front end of the website. So what we're seeing now, this is essentially the front end of the website. This is what the clients and customers are going to see, all the content, and this is what's going to look nice and be easily navigated for your customer. The color, text, imagery, videos, layout, navigation, this overall appearance of your business website. And this role is different to that of a web developer, who is concerned with the back end of the website, so the coding, security, functionality, even hosting, things like that. However, web designers and web developers both work together to create an engaging, easily navigated, and attractive website. They are different, but they are integral processes, and each requires a different set of skills as well. Web designers create bespoke websites that portray your brand in the best possible way. So it's really important that if you are deciding to hire a web design agency to create your website for your business, that you ask the right questions and that you really vet the agency and make sure you convey to them exactly it is what you're looking for and what you need from them. And it's also good to check out a few web design agencies as well to see what they offer and compare pricing, things like that. Web designers are creative and keep up to date with the latest website trends. They use a host of skills in website design, ranging from user experience, user interface, to graphic design. Some of the skills web designers have to know are things like knowledge of design principles. So web designers have a trained eye in design principles for websites. They are able to perfect the composition of a website and practice emergence, which is the process of arranging visual elements so that the user can easily digest them. User experience. So user experience is concerned with how visitors respond and react to your design. This is based on how easy the site is to use and the interactive elements that are incorporated. They're also skilled in graphic design. So web designers use their skills in graphic design to create engaging visuals that can convey information simply. They can incorporate company logos and create custom illustrations as well. Web designers will also have sound knowledge in design programming language like Photoshop, Illustrator, Lightroom, and InDesign. If a website has too many demanding and contrasting colors, it will distract from brands, images, and information on the website. So it's really important that you're a web designer, or if you're wanting to be a web designer, that you are knowledgeable in the color theory, and if you're familiar with color wheel and complementary color theory, so that'll help you design a website that allows visitors to absorb content in a more pleasing fashion and prevent a high bounce rate as well. Web designers also perfect the user interface, which includes things like menus, web pages, and buttons. This is everything that allows a user to navigate through a website without any obstructions. Typography is another tool as well, another skill that website designers would need to understand and be an expert in. So typography is essentially the art of arranging letters and text as well. So it may sound simple, but a lot of thought goes into selecting the font for a website and positioning it to highlight important parts of the text as well. Another really important thing that web designers need to understand is how to customize templates, add new visuals to blog space, and to create static pages. So essentially knowledge of content management systems, otherwise known as CMS. And that will all help with designing bespoke websites that are easy for users to use and navigate as well, and makes it easy for you to manage and add content as well. So if you're wanting to design your own website, there are different types of web design that you need to consider and you need to understand about. The nature of your business will influence how your website is designed. Depending on your business and what your business provides to your customers, certain elements of the website need to be highlighted more than others. So one thing we talked about earlier was responsive web design. So this was essentially ensuring that your website works on a range of devices, mobile, desktop, or tablet. Visual elements will automatically resize to fit the user's window, eliminating the need for dedicated mobile pages or compromising your design to suit different devices. Website visitors will no longer have to switch to the desktop version in order to see all the website's features. You want to make sure that the web design agency you pick, or whenever you are designing your website, you create websites that are responsive, ensuring that visitors are able to navigate it easily and digest the information in a well-structured and pleasing format. One way to check that your website is responsive is ensure that your website is responsive is using the inspect element tool. So once you have the website on the front end built out, what you can do is just right click and click on inspect, and this will bring up the inspect element editor, and it allows you to basically switch your device, your viewport. Either you can give custom dimensions, or you can pick dimensions of existing devices like iPhones, different Samsungs, tablets, things like that, and this will then resize your website, your viewport, and then you can see how your website design is based on that design, based on that viewport. It's important to note that this isn't always accurate. Sometimes the inspect element does glitch out, or sometimes it does look a little different if you were to actually view it on an actual tablet or an actual mobile, but it does give you an overall understanding, and any really big issues, any really big sort of design issues, you can quickly fix using the inspect element tool as well. So it's a really good sort of handy thing to have whenever you are designing your website, or whenever your web designer is designing your website. Another tool that you can use that's a bit more that's a lot more accurate and actually a lot more flexible and gives you a lot more opportunities to test is a tool called BrowserStack. So BrowserStack is a cloud, web, and mobile testing platform that provides developers and designers the ability to test their website and mobile applications across on-demand browsers, operating systems, and real mobile devices. So essentially, it's another sort of extension that you can add to your Chrome, Firefox, whatever browser that you use, and essentially allows you to view your website not only on different devices. So with the inspect element, you could only really do devices. We can also test it on different operating systems, test it on different browsers, different platforms, things like that. So it's it's a more kind of thorough way to test your design and making sure that your design is compatible on a range of different devices, platforms, and things like that, which is also really important that you test for as well, as different browsers will render things differently, different operating systems will render websites differently, so you want to make sure that it's as up to date as possible. It's also a lot more accurate than with the inspect element tool would be as well. You can also test from anywhere and at any time. You can basically connect the tools that you already use to capture bugs, file issues, and notify team members without ever actually leaving the dashboard. It's not free. There are pricing plans that they offer, but it is a really good investment when it comes to your web design, as poor mobile design will lead to a loss in customers, will lead to a loss in viewers on your site, and a high bounce rate as well. So while it is something extra to pay for, it is definitely worth the investment if you're wanting to making sure that your website is compatible on most, if not all, browsers and platforms as well. Other ways to design your website also involves custom web design. So custom web design is a popular option for business websites that need bespoke functionality, complex branding, and leading performance. With custom web design, you can maximize the speed and security of your business website. Custom web design also embeds SEO practices, which aligns with Google's Core Web Vitals algorithm update, proving to be a really successful method for beating competitors on search engine result pages as well. With custom web design, you have full reign in how you want the website to look. We can help create a custom build that is entirely unique for your brand and populated with the website features that you want included. A fully custom website offers considerably more flexibility than a website builder or template-based platform. It's ideal for larger organizations or businesses that receive large volumes of traffic as well. As I mentioned before, e-commerce websites will also have a different way on how things are laid out. So e-commerce websites like B2C, so business to consumer websites, will focus on the target audience and how they respond to different design elements. Customer research is a really crucial part of any web design project, no matter what the functionality is as well. But effective e-commerce website design is critical, and choosing the right web design agency or building it yourself, but knowing all the right functionality and the right tools can make or break your online business. Ineffective web design can greatly impact both your ability to reach and sell to new customers and existing customers as well. As mentioned before, if you are deciding to design your own website, you want to think about the functionality, and you want to think about different web design templates that are out there, and you also want to think about like color theory, for example, making sure you're using the right colors and what's important to know as well. We have lots of videos before about how to design, about what web designers do and how to use color theory. But another way to get your website designed, if you don't want to start with a blank slate, or if you're really struggling with web design in general, is to start off with a template and either use that template and customize it to your own branding and your own content, and have that used as a starting point. So when it comes to building your website, using platforms like Wix, for example, not only does it help you with your web design, as Wix come with a variety of different templates and themes, it does also help with development, because once you've selected your theme, most of your website is already built for you at that point. All you need to do is fill it with your content and update it with your branding. So to get started with Wix, what you want to do is go into wix.com and then just click on Get Started. And you want to sign up for an account. So with Wix, the first initial sign up is free. Wix can be completely free to use, but then once your site is ready and you want to connect it to like a custom domain, you then need to select a plan, but their plans are also really affordable as well. So you want to sign up with your email. You can also continue with Google or with Facebook. And then what you can do is just click on Create New Site and start building out your site. And what Wix will do is it will ask you a few questions in terms of what kind of website you're creating, what kind of functionality that you want, and what you want to add to it. And then Wix will essentially use those questions to design the website for you. It'll use templates and it'll use themes as well, and you can select from whichever one that you want. So it'll ask you what kind of website you're creating, and you would just type in what kind of website, and you want to give the name of your website or your store. And then it'll ask you about what you want to add to your website, and this is essentially asking you about website functionality. As mentioned before, e-commerce websites will look slightly different to blog websites, because different elements of your website will need more focus or less focus. So in this example, we'll add the online store, but you can add other things like the blog. You can add video, you can add a forum, you can add Instagram feeds, things like that. You can add more than one thing as well. And if you ever want to add things later on, you can. So right now we're not selecting blog, but if later on when you're developing your site you realize actually you do want to add a blog, it's very easy to add afterwards as well. But for now we'll just stick to online store, and we'll just click next. And then it will ask you if you want to begin with a template or if you want to get a custom built site. So if you, for example, were to select with a template, you can see a whole range of templates that Wix have. So when it comes to Wix, they have thousands of templates that are responsive, mobile ready, and suitable for SEO as well. And what's also good about Wix is that you can filter between different website types. So for example, if you have like fashion and clothing, if that's the type that you're selling, food and drink, things like that, and also the website type as well. So we've got online store, but if you are a health and wellness product website, if your website is about travel services, things like that, it'll show you templates that are more suited to those kind of websites. So the only thing you need to do is essentially just go through each of the templates and then select which one that you want. And then once you've selected it, all you need to do then is just edit your site. Everything is designed, everything is mobile ready and free for you to use exactly how it's done. The only thing you need to do is update it with content. So for example, if we select this one, what you can do is you can either view it first and see what it's like. So this is essentially the website. It's all designed out for you. So essentially use this template as a starting point. You can see all the design, you can see the layout, and you can see what looks good in terms of the font and what layout looks good. And then all you need to do is then select which one that you want. So if you're happy with this one, and you can also just see it on mobile as well, and you can see that these sites are mobile ready, and they look good on mobile as well. Once you're done, you just want to click on Edit the Site, and it'll open the site in edit mode, and the only thing you need to do from this point is update the content, maybe remove some sections if you don't like them, move around some sections, add more sections, things like that. Update the branding. Maybe your branding is slightly different to the branding used here, and that's totally fine because it's really easy to change the colors and the font as well, but at least you're not starting off with a completely blank slate. There is a starting point for you as well. And you can see the Wix editor here. So you've got the actual website, and then you've got the actual edit options over here as well. And at the top you have your domain, and you have the device switcher as well, and the navigation bar to switch between your pages. But you can see it's already literally laid out for you. One of the first things that you might want to do is update the site theme, like the branding, so the colors and the font used. You might like where everything's placed, but maybe it's just not the right colors with the branding that you already have. So what you want to do is go down to the site design here, and you're looking for site theme, and you want to click on customize. And this is site theme here, and it's split between colors and text. So if you start off with colors first, you can see the theme colors are split between 5 different colors, and each of these colors are used differently throughout your theme. So for example, color 1 is for background and text. So color 1 is used for the background and text across your site. If you've added Wix apps like the Wix stores or blogs to your site, those pages will use the same background and text colors. In most cases, you'll see that the brightest tint, so tint 1, so you'll see this is the main color here, and each of these colors are differently saturated. Tint 1 is usually the brightest tint, and tint 2 is the darkest tint, and that's used for text. So tint 1 is used for the background color, and tint 2 is used for the background for the text as well. So when you are adjusting the shades and not adjusting the color, we recommend that you create a high contrast pairing so that the information on your site is very easy to read. So right now you can see most of the text is in white background with a darker font. If we were to adjust the shade, we can just click into the shade here and adjust the color to however we need it. And then just click apply, and you can see that this example, the white background has changed, and you've got the red background as well. So it's different ways that you can change it. Color 2 is the action color. So this is what you'll use to drive visitors to make the choices that you want by selecting an action color that stands out. This color is used for actionable elements like links, buttons, and menu elements. And it also appears in themed elements like buttons and boxes, as well as pages related to like the Wix stores and the Wix blog as well. The tint in the middle for this color is used most frequently, so we recommend choosing a color that contrasts with your background, so it contrasts with tint 1 in your color 1. This ensures that the most important elements on your site are accessible and they're noticeable as well. And then colors 3, 4, 5 are additional colors, so you can choose 3 additional colors to complete your color scheme. These are displayed in various places across your site, so they should match and they should complement the colors that you already have selected. And once you're happy with everything, what you want to do is just make sure that you have saved everything. You just click on save at the top, and then just click save and continue. And then you can move on to other parts of your website that you can change. So we've sorted out the color. The next thing we want to sort out now is the text. So once you are back in the site colors and theme editor, we've switched from color. Now we're going into text here. So the text will allow you to choose the text theme and customize the styles for the different types of text, like the different heading types, and you've got the different paragraph types as well. So your text theme contains several heading and paragraph styles for the different text elements on your site, and you can adjust each of them to your liking. So for example, if we go for the heading 1, you can adjust it for the actual font family, you can adjust it for the font size, and you can adjust it for color, and you can also adjust it for actual like line spacing and color spacing as well. If we tone this down a bit, maybe change that to 30, so anywhere that's using heading 1, it's going to change the text across your site as well. And you want to click apply to save your changes. If you want to change the text style of a specific text element on your site, you can change it from the text settings panel, and you'll use this to kind of make sure that you're using the correct heading as well, and the correct sizing as well. So you can have different like paragraph stylings. You just want to make sure that you're using the correct font for each of them. So when you're adding a paragraph element onto here, you just select which paragraph style that you want, and it's already styled for you. It just means it's an easier way to update the branding if you ever needed to. Instead of going into each individual paragraph and changing the styling to the new styling, you just need to change it into this one place in the text theme, and it'll change all of the paragraph 3s if you're changing paragraph 3s across your site, or if it's paragraph 1 or heading 2s, things like that. As you're making changes and you're adding new content and things like that, what you want to do is always make sure that you switch to the mobile view and check what the site looks on mobile. So for example, You can see on mobile, so like this paragraph here, it's sort of aligned to the left and looks a bit odd. So what we can do is click into the text, click on settings, and we want to change the alignment to the middle so that it looks a little bit better. What's really good about Wix is when you change something on mobile, it won't affect anything on desktop. So we've changed the styling to middle aligned, but right now on desktop it's still right aligned, so nothing's actually changed here. Something that you might need to do if you're having trouble with making something mobile friendly is you might need to hide certain sections. So you can see when I click on this section here, I have this option to hide this section from mobile. We don't always recommend that just because you are essentially losing that content. Google will still see it, but your customers won't. If it's an important bit of content, you want to make sure that it's always there and it's just built and is responsive on mobile. But just in case you ever did need to do that, or if there's something that's just not relevant at all, but you want to keep it for desktop and hide it on mobile, you do have that option. So for example, if we hide this option here, it doesn't delete the section, it's still there, it will still show on desktop. You can see the section here, but it's just hidden on mobile. And you can see if we switch back to the mobile view, we can go into this layers action here, and you want to click onto the hidden on mobile section, and you can see this section here. So what you can do is click on it again just to show it if you ever wanted to bring that back. Again, we don't recommend hiding sections, but if sometimes it is needed, and you do have that option with Wix as well if you do need to. Another thing you can do with Wix is add in templates. So maybe there's another section that you want to add. What you can do is click on add section, and you can add pre-designed sections. So these sections are already designed for you and it'll follow your branding. So for example, there's welcome sections, there's the byte sections, there's team content sections. It just means then everything is already designed for you. You don't need to go in and design something yourself. And all you need to do is select the design that you want, click into it, and then once it's on the page, all you need to do then is update, the content, update the styling. Maybe you don't want this to be heading 2, you can have it to heading 3 or something like that. Just whatever it is that you're wanting to do. And it just means then you're not designing everything from scratch. So there's some sections that are designed for you, and you can sort of make changes however you need to, whether that's updating the styling, updating the content, maybe that's removing things or adding things. So maybe you want to add an image to certain sections. It just means it makes it easier for you to design your website as opposed to having to design fully from scratch. And if you're someone who hasn't designed a website before, or you're learning out, it's a good way to kind of play about with layouts and see what you can do and get sort of an idea as well. Wix, as I mentioned before, is fully free to use, but if you do want to add more features, especially things like connecting your own domain, getting a custom domain, you do need to pay for, but they have pretty affordable plans as well. So that's one way to kind of design your website. So Wix is one platform that does that. Another platform that will cater for Wix or for templates, both pre-made templates or custom-made templates, is WordPress. So WordPress is a free and open source content management system, otherwise known as a CMS, and it is basically a platform that allows you to host and build your own website. WordPress contains plugins and a template system, so you can customize any website to fit your business needs, blog, portfolio, and even an online store as well. It's important to note that there's 2 versions of WordPress. There's WordPress.org and there's WordPress.com. WordPress.com is a hosting platform that provides you with a turnkey solution, so you can essentially build your website with WordPress using a theme, and then WordPress.com will then host it for you as well. So it's a very all-in-one solution, while WordPress.org is a self-hosted solution, so you take care of the hosting yourself, but the software that's used to run both of these versions is the same. WordPress.org and WordPress.com are 2 ways to kind of use the WordPress software. When you're first starting out with your WordPress website, you want to make sure that you pick the platform that works best for you. WordPress.org, sometimes known as the real WordPress, is a very popular website platform, and it has lots of great things and lots of flexibility as well. It's an open source software and it's 100% free for anyone to use. All you need is a domain name and web hosting. That's why it's referred to as self-hosted WordPress. A lot of the benefits with WordPress.org is that it's free, it's open source, and it's also very easy to use. WordPress is used by over 43% of all websites on the internet, so it's a very popular platform out there with a lot of support out there. With WordPress.org websites, you own your own website and all of its data. Your site won't be turned off because someone decides that it's against their terms of service. You are in full control. And you can add free, paid, and custom WordPress plugins or apps to your website. So a plugin is essentially an extra app that you can add to your website to kind of increase the functionality or add new functionality. With WordPress.org, you can customize your website design as needed. So you can add free or premium WordPress themes, and you can also create your own custom designs or modify anything that you want. So when it comes to designing your own website, it's a lot more flexible to use. With Wix, as you've noticed, you have to use one of their templates. WordPress, you can use one of their templates, or you can edit an existing template, or you can even just create your own template yourself. Some of the cons of WordPress.org, though, is that like all websites, you need some kind of web hosting. Initially, the cost can be around $3 to $10 a month, but as your website grows and gets more traffic, the web hosting plan costs will increase as expected, but by then you should be making enough money to cover those costs as well. You will also need to install WordPress yourself. So with Wix, you've seen is very easy. You just set up an account and everything is set up for you. With WordPress, it's a little bit more work. You need to set up your own web server and install WordPress that way. But there's a lot of WordPress hosting companies that offer one-click WordPress installation options. Companies like Bluehost and SiteGround will offer one-click WordPress installation, and they're also very good for WordPress hosting as well. Whether your WordPress website is in development or if it's live, both those hosting platforms are really good. With WordPress.org, you are responsible for any updates, and you're also responsible for backups as well. The real cost of WordPress.org website varies on what you're trying to build. If it's a simple blog, portfolio, website, membership, e-commerce store, there are loads of other factors like free templates versus premium templates, free plugins versus premium plugins, things like that. If you're in a low budget, you can design and build your website for as little as almost $50 a year. But it's really up to you how much you're kind of willing to spend and how much you would need to spend based on your own technical background. If you have a technical background and you are familiar with languages like PHP, HTML, CSS, you could get away with building out your own custom theme and maybe paying for maybe one or two plugins. If you are someone that's just starting out, then paying for a bit builder like Elementor or Divi, while it will increase your costs, will help you with the build and allow you to create a custom theme a lot more easier and a lot more quicker as well. WordPress.com, however, is a hosting service created by Automatic. So this company also was led by the co-founder of WordPress. The WordPress.com hosting service has 6 pricing plans. A lot of the benefits of WordPress.com is that it's free for up to 3 GB of space. After that, you will have to switch to a paid plan, and everything is managed for you. So your updates, backups, WordPress will take care of all of that. But there are several cons to WordPress.com. A lot of them, the main one being is that they place a lot of ads on all free websites. So your users will see ads, they don't make any money from it, you don't make any money from it, but they will make money from it. So if you don't want your user to see their ads, you can then, while there will be ads placed on your site by WordPress, you are not allowed to sell ads on your own website, which severely limits ways to monetize your site. Especially if you run a high traffic site, then you can apply for their advertising program. Otherwise, running ads on your site isn't really an option. You also can't upload your own plugins. Free plan users get built-in Jetpack for free. Business users can install a selection of compatible plugins, but they can cost up to $300 a year. So you want to, if you are someone if you do have a list of plugins that you wanted to add in mind, just be careful because that can get very costly as well. As I mentioned before, WordPress is pretty flexible with their themes in that you can upload, you can use current themes, you can edit their own themes, and you can upload your own custom themes. You can't do that with WordPress.com. Free plan users can only install from the limited free themes collection, and then premium and business plan users can also select premium themes. So there's a lot of limits for customization as well. So when you're designing your own website, if you're happy enough sticking with like a template design for now, just so you have a place where you can direct users to, then that's fair enough. But if you're wanting to have a very flexible way of customizing your site and have it, or you have a specific design in mind, whether or not you're designing it yourself or having someone design it for you, WordPress.org might not be the way to go, because it limits you severely in terms of design. Another really important factor to mention when you're working with WordPress.com is that they can delete your site at any time if they think it violates their terms of service. So you don't fully own your website, it's owned by WordPress.com. So the WordPress.com hosting platform is very limited when you're on the free, personal, or even the premium plans. To unlock some of their more advanced features, you have to be on the business plan, and that can start at $300 per year, or even their VIP plan that can cost you up to $5,000 per month. In this video, we'll focus specifically on WordPress.org, but you do have the option for WordPress.com as well. So the WordPress dashboard looks a little like this. And this is essentially the back end, and this is what you'll use to manage your pages, your blog content, and also your theme and templates as well. So to select a WordPress template, what you want to do is go into Appearance, and you want to go into Themes. So a WordPress theme will essentially decide how your website will look. It's essentially a group of files that involves style sheets, code, image files, things like that, and that will basically decide how your website will appear. Themes will control your site's layout. It will control the colors being used, the branding, hyperlink colors. All of that is decided within your site's theme. So WordPress have a bunch of free and also paid themes as well in their directory. There's also third-party platforms that will offer paid premium WordPress themes as well. So to add a new WordPress theme, what you want to do is click into Add New once you're in the theme directory, and you'll see a whole bunch of themes first come up. So these are all free themes. And similar to Wix, there is a filter where you can filter by the features, so what kind of website that you want, whether that's an e-commerce website or a blog website, and some features as well. So things like if you want a theme that will allow you to have a custom header, a theme that will allow you to have template editing, theme options, all of those things, you can just select that and just apply the filters and basically decide exactly how you want your theme to look. So these are all pre-made themes by WordPress, but what you can do then is edit the themes directly within the theme files, or you can just fully upload a theme by yourself, and that'll allow you to have a custom theme and a website that isn't available anywhere else, and also a website that's designed specifically to how you want it as well. Once you've selected a theme, what you can do is click into it, click on Details and Theme and Preview, and this will essentially tell you a little bit about the theme, any reviews, any additional kind of FAQs, things like that, and you can sort of see exactly the layout as well in the preview. And then once you're happy with that, all you need to do is click Install and activate the theme on your website. It's important to note that a WordPress site can only run one theme at a time, so if you activate another theme, the theme that it was currently using will be switched off, and then everything will move over to your new theme as well. So when it comes to designing your website, there's lots of kind of options that you have in terms of doing it yourself, whether that's using a platform like Wix or WordPress to use pre-made themes, whether they're paid or premium. You do have that option. If you use WordPress as well, you have that added option of having a fully custom theme that's specific to you and unique to you and will be very specific to your functionality. When you're deciding whether or not you want to use a theme or things like that, it entirely depends on your budget and your own skill set. So if you have some experience, then maybe starting off with a template or using WordPress with a page builder will allow you to design your own website at a fraction of the cost, but you still have that custom functionality as well. If you have no technical background whatsoever, then maybe getting a custom theme developed for you or using it or hiring out an agency might be better. If you do decide to go down the route of hiring out a external web design or development company, you should understand that it's one of the most critical decisions you can make when you're selecting that, because they will ultimately be the responsible for the success of your project, and they will have an impact on the future of your business. So if you do decide to hire a web design agency, there are certain questions that you want to ask before hiring them to help you, and that will essentially allow you to select the best web design company for your firm. as well, and they cover a wide range of like topics as well. So the first thing that you want to ask them is how much the service will cost you. So if you're hiring a web design agency, you'll be paying for a professional service, so you can expect to work with an entire team of experts to help you plan, develop, design, and manage the project. And you want to make sure that you understand who's going to be working with you on the project, what are the qualifications of your team members, how much time will each team member dedicate to the project, and how will you be charged for extra features outside of the scope of the project. So if there's anything extra that you want added, how much will that cost, whether that's additional support, more plugin features, more functionality features, changes to design. All of these things might have a cost attached to them, so you want to find out exactly what that would be. You also want to understand what are the core services the web design has to offer. So you should work with a web design firm that has the talent and ability to effectively manage and complete your project, and no aspect of your project should be an afterthought or shouldn't get enough attention. So you need to know whether the firm you choose to work with will be able to meet your expectations when it comes to design, marketing, and development. So questions that you want to ask are things like, is the web design firm able to offer development, marketing services, and comprehensive design that meets industry standards? Are they capable of developing a mobile app that's consistent with all of the marketing platforms of the brand? Are they able to develop mobile applications that are consistent with all of the brand's marketing platform, things like that? If those things are important to you, you want to make sure that you're asking about them as well. You also want to ask about the firm's qualifications or any credentials or even any awards. So the web design firm you hire should be well respected in the web design industry. So things like, are they a firm key player in the web design industry? Are they viewed as a leader? What is the rating of the web design? Does the firm have a good track record for client satisfaction? A really good way to check this is, one way is on their own website. So you'll see on their website if they have like a review section or even a portfolio section, where they talk about previous clients they've worked with, some results that they've got, and also what went well and how their clients improved in terms of their business. Another way to find this out is checking if the client has any Trustpilot or Google reviews. The good thing about leaving companies getting Google reviews or Trustpilot reviews is that they can't be edited, and they will need to keep, they can't really remove them either. So all the reviews, they're kind of, they're not biased towards the company. So if you type in the name of the company and you want to look for the Google reviews or any Trustpilot reviews, you can read through the reviews of that company and look at their track record, how helpful have they been, what's their overall review, how many reviews have they seen, how recent are they, and you can see any good service that people have offered, whether there's so many issues or anything like that. So it's a really good way to see the company's track record as well. And it will give you an indication of what your experience will be if you were to work with them as well, when you look at other people's experience as well, other customers, previous customers, and things like that. So that's really it. Once you have decided if you want to create your own theme or hire out, it's up to you how you want to manage that, whether that's building out yourself or hiring a design agency as well. We have lots of videos as well to just show you how to install WordPress, how to use WordPress, how to use Wix, so have a look. And if there's anything else you're having trouble with, get in touch today and we'll help you out as well.